there's pain, and then there's discordant pain, where you, well, at least I know from my center, or when I'm walking along my path properly, if I'm experiencing certain amounts of pain, it's going to take me off of that path and stop me dead in my tracks. And
that assumes you know your path, though. Like, you keep adopting the same assumption. It's like yoga, for instance. Learning yoga poses is not in and of itself a necessity, a requirement of yoga. You don't actually have to learn that pose in that way with those fingertips pointed in that direction at this angle spread. Those are guides. The process of doing yoga wrong is still doing yoga. The process of praying is still meditation, and the process of meditating while you're exercising is no different.
Right.
So different people, some people meditate by exercising, like full board. Like your brain loves it when you run and play soccer and stuff, right?
Right.
Mine loves that too. Another person's brain may love just sitting and petting a cat, and their life could just be to work a menial job because all they want to do is pay rent and pet their cat. There is nothing wrong with that.
No.
As soon as you take the goal, your end goal, your ideal human life aside, and brush aside like way of doing it properly, like you said before, it's a tool. These are all just, they're specific enough to tell you what to do, but they're tools, like martial arts and yoga and all the exercises and the doctrines are just there as
now.
And that's what they mean by giving up desire. It's not about not wanting things and just being wrapped in a cloak and sitting on concrete and doing nothing and loving your pain. It's nothing to do with that. It's stop making a requirement of your happiness on that desire.
No, like I'm saying, my desire is a tool that I use, but I'm not talking about desire. I'm talking about, is this a, like...
So what you were saying, though, about somebody else who had like a mental condition or something, right? Something they can't fix that caused them tremendous suffering.
Right.
We're not saying that suffering is okay or that you shouldn't do anything about it, because that's not an enlightened perspective to do nothing about a problem.
Right.
That's what it means to put things into context.
If that woman petting her cat has found her center and path by sitting there enjoying the company of her cat, and someone comes in and shoots the cat, what does she do? That's creating discord in her zen. Because like we can't talk about the good without talking about the bad, and I feel like a lot of these texts are only focusing on the good and not understanding the discord that exists.
Well, I could dig into that if you want to give me a minute to sort of unwrap it.
Yeah.
It might take a few. Okay. So from a physical perspective, the laws of the universe, fundamentally, as we know, E equals mc squared, right? Energy equals mass times the speed of light squared.
Yeah.
Like, period. So conservation of energy must not be violated. That just is. So if energy exists, and people want to talk about auras and reincarnation and how we're all pieces of life, there is a mathematical finite number of particles that were breathed in by Caesar that you are now breathing in over your lifetime. That's not wrong. That is very literally true, because the atmosphere recycles all of the gases in it.
No, I mean, like, theoretically at any moment I could be missing one or two.
No, but in your lifetime, I said, you'll catch a few.
Oh, of course, naturally.
And that's an average. Some people might get none, some people might get more. But the point of it is, water that's sitting in the Arctic that's been there trapped in the ice for millennia, it's been there since it landed here. And before the Earth was formed, it was part of the sun, because all of, like, every atom bigger than carbon, even carbon, was formed in supernovas. Because, like, the compression of stars isn't enough to fuse carbon atoms together. They have to explode to get enough energy to create carbon atoms.
Right, because the core is only enough to get to iron, I believe.
Yeah, Yeah, because iron's too stable. It doesn't go any further than that, and then it compresses itself and explodes on the impact of all that force compressing down on the iron and being uncompressible.
Yeah, the star loses its
technically more
equilibrium.
compressible, but yeah. So the fact that we're all born of stars, as Carl Sagan said,
Our stuff.
Yeah, it's exactly in line with metaphysical teachings of all creed.
Right.
It's agnostic to who the prophet was or when they were around or what they said. Energy equals mass times the speed of light squared. We are part of energy. You can convert your mass, your physical material that makes all of you, every boundary, even 100 kilometers around you, if you want to be really safe and say that it's completely totaling you. That's like using a limit to an extent, right? Because you might say, like, the hairs on my hand grow so far, and then there's the air around my hands, and then there's the molecules around the air around my hand, or what. Fine. Let's round up the size of the planet. There's no way that you're bigger than the planet. So we'll just say that's the limit of your corpuscular nature. The point is, there's a limit to how much your body extends out into the universe. And if you wrap that up, you can calculate how much energy you are physically out of mass. That includes all of your thoughts, all of your feelings, your past, your present, your future, because space-time is interwoven. Gravity is an effect that space-time creates as a warping. It's a manifestation of just dimensions of reality moving. And those dimensions of reality moving are all products of mass, and mass is a product of energy. Okay, so the reason why I'm drilling that down is to sort of get back to what our discussion here, the philosophy and nature of all things in existence is not reducible to any one focal point, because it's ever present, it's ubiquitous. And that's exactly how they describe God in all of religions.
Yeah.
So it's just a way of looking at things. It's not that it's right or wrong, and the teachings are definitely not meant to be taken literally. Well, they were maybe written to be taken literally because the person wanted them to be.
Take this literally.
The actual wisdom and knowledge from them, the wisdom and knowledge you get from those teachings isn't literal.
Right.
What's actually literal is that we are energy, all of us. It just is. That's just reality from physics. How we use and manipulate that energy is what we choose to do. There is no right or wrong with it, because the universe is still the universe.
Right. When we ourselves are encountering it, we definitely know when we are in accord, when we are in tune, when we are playing the same song that nature is playing, and we're going with it as ourself, as an individual within this unindividualized thing, which is the universe.
Yeah, and sort of getting back, not to say that there's anything wrong with that. What I'm getting at, though, is that's one scope. That's one context. You're assuming that you know the song that nature is playing.
No, I'm not, actually. I assume that
you are, because you think that death is a bad thing. You think that cat being shot would be negative. Just because we're sad about it doesn't mean that it's actually the universe saying, like, it's negative.
I would rather not die.
We can be sad. Yeah, I know. That's okay. Part of our nature, though.
Right, but
our nature to want to procreate and subsist and to continue surviving. And while we survive, we might as well figure out all this other stuff on the side. But to say there's a proper way for nature is a contradiction of terms. Because not existing is just as natural as existing.
No, I'm saying not proper, but I'm saying it's doing its own thing regardless of what we do. And being part of it, we have to figure out who we are and do our own thing with regard to it.
But it's that injection of perspective that makes religion so dangerous. That's what makes people start controlling people by telling them what it's supposed to be like, what it should be, and what you should do with your life, and what is a good life, and what's the best for you, and what's your potential. And
which is why I'm saying that this is an individual thing. You have to approach it as an individual. And this is where meditation and finding your own Tao comes in.
But that's why art is so wonderful, is because art is about individual perspective. It's an expression that only one person can offer. One person creating that art.
And good art is something that one person can make that everyone can somehow understand. Everyone looks at it and goes, yeah, I get that.
Right, but the nature of the universe doesn't give a damn about art.
No.
In the nature of the universe, it means something to us because we prescribe meaning to it, and it means something. It gives us feeling, and
Right.
it inspires us, and it does things positive to us. But that doesn't make it positive. It just means that it's there.
Yeah.
So Buddhism is about finding the things that are just there. It's not saying that you should never deal with things that you enjoy or like or don't like. It doesn't mean that you should be happy in pain. It means that you can find a space between pain and happiness that's
right.
separate from it.
Now, on that,
That's the
I
enlightenment.
come to